Well, well, well. It looks like Stephen Jones is the latest target of criticism among Cowboys fans. Some people are calling him crazy for saying he's pleased with what the team has done so far. But you know what? If he's crazy, then call me crazy too, because I actually believe in what Stephen Jones is doing. And by the time we're done here, you might just start seeing things differently too. Let's talk Cowboys. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why trust Stephen Jones? After all, the Cowboys haven't reached a Super Bowl in nearly 3 decades. And every offseason, fans are left wondering if the front office is doing enough. But here's the thing. This time, the Cowboys are moving differently. There's a method to what looks like madness, and I'm going to break it all down for you. Before we dive in, let me ask you, do you trust Stephen Jones? Drop a yes or no in the comments right now. I want to see where everyone stands before we go any further. The fact is, the Cowboys have been making moves that might not be flashy, but they're calculated. Stephen Jones has taken a disciplined approach, one that prioritizes building a strong, well-balanced roster instead of just making headlines with big-name signings. And while some might see that as playing it safe, others see it as smart team building. So here's what we're going to do. We'll break down the key moves the Cowboys have made, analyze Stephen Jones' strategy, and take a closer look at what's really happening behind the scenes. By the end of this, you might just start seeing why this approach could actually work. Let's get into it. All right? Let's get into the details. If you've been paying attention, you know the Cowboys front office isn't about making splashy, headline-grabbing moves in free agency. That's just not Stephen Jones's style. Instead, he focuses on calculated, strategic additions, building a team that's solid from top to bottom rather than relying on 1 or 2 superstars. Now, I know that approach frustrates some fans. You see other teams throwing big money at free agents, making blockbuster trades, and it's easy to feel like the Cowboys are just sitting on their hands. But that's not the case. Dallas has been working quietly, making under-the-radar moves that could pay off in a big way. Let's break it down. The Cowboys focused heavily on defense this offseason, adding depth and making strategic upgrades. Guys like Dante Fowler, Solomon Jones, and Fuller might not be the biggest names in the league, but they bring exactly what this team needs: versatility, toughness, and playmaking ability. These moves tell us something important. Stephen Jones isn't just thinking about this season. He's thinking long-term, setting up a defense that can dominate for years to come. But here's the real question. Should the Cowboys have gone after a big-name free agent instead? Some fans wanted a veteran wide receiver or a star running back, but Jones stuck to his philosophy. He believes the offense can be fixed through the draft, and honestly, he might be right. The Cowboys hold the 12th overall pick, and with the depth of talent at WR&RB this year, they'll have plenty of options. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you agree with Stephen Jones's approach? Would you rather have seen the Cowboys spend big in free agency, or do you think they made the right call by playing it smart? Let me know in the comments. One thing's for sure. Whether you agree with Jones or not, the Cowboys aren't done yet. There's still work to do before this roster is complete, and in the next chapter, we'll take a closer look at what Stephen Jones himself has to say about the team's direction. You might be surprised by what's coming next. Now, let's take a step back and listen to Stephen Jones himself. What has he actually said about his plan for the Cowboys? Is this just front office talk to keep fans hopeful, or is there a real long-term strategy in motion? Jones made it clear in his recent statements. This team is building toward a championship, but it won't happen overnight. He emphasized the importance of continuity, roster balance, and making smart moves rather than impulsive ones. He even acknowledged the pressure from the fans, saying he knows people won't truly believe in the plan until the Cowboys get the job done and win another Super Bowl. Now, here's where things get interesting. Jones also said the Cowboys aren't done yet. He made it clear that there are still moves in the works, trades, late free agency signings, and of course, the draft. That means what we've seen so far is just the beginning. But let's be real. Words mean nothing if the actions don't match. So let's compare. Has Jones actually backed up his words? So far, the answer is yes. The Cowboys have been active, calculated, and consistent in their approach. They didn't overpay for free agents, they focused on depth, and they left themselves in a strong position heading into the draft. But now, I want to know what you think. Are you buying what Stephen Jones is selling? Do you believe in the long-term plan? Or do you think this is just another year of the Cowboys talking a big game with no real results? Drop your answer in the comments. Buying it, or not convinced. One thing's for sure, this offseason isn't over yet. The draft is coming and the Cowboys still have opportunities to make major moves. In the next chapter, we'll break down what could happen next, from potential draft picks to trade possibilities. If you think things have been quiet so far, just wait. This is where it gets interesting. All right, we've talked about what the Cowboys have done so far, but let's focus on what's next. Because if Stephen Jones really wants to build a championship team, the work isn't finished yet. The draft is coming up, and this is where the Cowboys can take a major step forward. With the 12th overall pick, Dallas is in a great position to add a playmaker, whether that's a top wide receiver, a dominant running back, or even an impact defensive player. And here's the thing. The way the Cowboys have approached free agency suggests they already have a plan in mind. They didn't overspend on offensive weapons because they believe they can find them in the draft. So, let's talk about possibilities. If Dallas wants to boost the offense, they could go after one of the top 5 wide receivers in this class, someone who can step in and immediately help Dak Prescott. But if the focus is still on defense, adding another pass rusher or a shutdown corner could make this unit even scarier. Now, let's not forget about potential trades. Remember when Jones said, "We're not done yet"? That wasn't just talk. There are rumors that the Cowboys have explored moves for players like Dre Greenlaw and Cooper Kupp. While those deals didn't happen, it proves that they're still actively looking to improve. Could we see another big trade before the draft? It's definitely possible. And let's not overlook something else, the depth signings. Dallas could still add veterans to strengthen key positions, especially on defense. A name like Calais Campbell could be a game changer, giving this defensive front even more experience and leadership. Now here's a question for you. If you had to pick one position for the Cowboys to prioritize in the draft, what would it be? Drop your vote in the comments. Wide receiver, running back, defensive line, or cornerback. One thing is clear. This team isn't sitting still. They're moving, planning, and setting up for a big 2025 season. But is it enough? That's what we'll discuss in the final chapter as we look ahead to the bigger picture. Can the Cowboys really turn this into a Super Bowl run? Let's talk about it. So after everything we've broken down, the free agency moves, the draft strategy, and Stephen Jones's long-term vision, the big question remains. Are the Cowboys truly on the path to a Super Bowl, or is this just another year of empty promises? Here's what we know. The Cowboys are building a roster the right way, through smart signings, careful cap management, and a focus on depth. They're setting themselves up not just for 2025, but for long-term success leading into 2026 and beyond. But let's be honest. None of that will matter if this team doesn't show results on the field. The pressure is on Mike McCarthy, Dak Prescott, and this entire roster to prove that Stephen Jones's approach is actually working. And here's where things get exciting. If everything falls into place, the right draft picks, the right in-season adjustments, and the right mentality, this Cowboys team could be dangerous. The foundation is being built, and we could be looking at a serious contender within the next 2 seasons. Now, I want to hear from you. Is Stephen Jones building a Super Bowl team, or is this just another front office illusion? Drop your opinion in the comments, and let's get this debate going. And before you go, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated on all things Cowboys. We've got more in-depth coverage coming, and trust me, You won't want to miss what happens next. This is Cowboys News TV, where we talk facts. Until next time, go Cowboys.